Okay, welcome. I came a bit late today, so I haven't been able to participate to your event so far. But how many of you already have an experience working in a games company? Few hands there, okay. And are you all, or how many of you are dreaming of becoming a games developer? All right, almost everybody. All right, listen carefully. I hope I can give you some tips and tricks how to get there. Actually, Mikko has been one of the guys that interviewed me back in 2004 when I got my first job in the games, and I joined a small company called Sumea at that time, and it became Digital Chocolate. And that's where it all started. I had some previous experience also in gaming industry. We were doing in the previous company in new media time some marketing, like games for marketing purpose and such, but nothing bigger. But anyway, that and my experience in IT industry until then as a HR was enough to qualify to this small company called Sumea that actually became quite a big. So it's not. One of my first messages is always that don't be afraid of small startups, because that can lead you to fantastic experiences. And ever since I've been I worked for Digital Chocolate for 9 years, from start to finish basically. So I left, let's say, like my feet in the front, so the house when the whole studio was closed, and then I went to Barona IT, where I found Games Jobs Finland, because I was thinking that somebody needs to accelerate like how candidates and companies find each other. So if you go to Games Jobs Finland site, or if you order the job letter, so that's the service that is run by me at Barona IT. And then what else I do? I'm also a project manager in a program which is called Game Pro that has delivered over 120, nearly 130 people to games industry during the past, let's say, 8-9 years. I was one of the first customers at Digital Chocolate, and now during the last round we were able to push in 29 people to various games companies. So there are pretty much all of them are there. No, not Supercell. They have given us some profiles in the past, but their skill on competence expectation is quite high. But typically, what kind of people there goes through, for example, through Game Pro, they are students and then also some even very experienced industry professionals that just happen to be between jobs. That program it will be viable for you when you have graduated and when you look for your first step. So maybe next year we have a chance to run another round. Then what I do, I also do training, I do mentoring, I may headhunt. Even some of you may be already in my network, and then I also do a bit of investment, but I think Samuli Syvähuoko can tell about that case bit later. And what I'm going to tell you about now, so I will tell you about games market, how to get a job, what the companies expect, and what do usually the candidates expect. We did a bit of market research last year, and these are the results of that. Big picture of the games market, because there are a lot of opportunities. Then what is trending, and then candidate and employer expectations, and then how to prepare yourself. And here is kind of like the big picture. So, of course, entertainment games, all these seriously, Housemarques, Supercells and such, they are of course big. But then on the other side, the gambling games, Veikkaus, Paf, all these related gaming companies that are there, even some subcontractors in Finland nowadays, that is equally big business. So it's another opportunity to look. There are a lot of jobs there all the time. And then what is coming up and what is very interesting to me are all these serious gaming apps, or like anything gamified. What it may has to do like with sports or physics or mathematics, or languages are very typical. So anything gamified. There are like these musicians, Musopias, Moomin language schools. There are big variation of this type of education games, and that can be equally big or even bigger industry in Finland in the future. I hope I'm going to be right, because we have lots of like substance, methodology, and then excellent examples in the entertainment games and learning therefrom. Then something that is interesting to me is also this esports, but I do not understand that much about it, but it basically combines everything from like development, console game development, until betting. And I think there may be some opportunities too. But mainly what I'm interested in always is like they are the games developers. I'm not that much interested in someone who has been playing games and just wants to do that. So, and we did a bit of like the trending jobs research and where your time should be invested in the future. So, more candidates than jobs, 2D and 3D artists. Lots of people applying for the same job. It's very typical that each job opening in art side gets like 70 candidates, out of which 3 to 5 get an opportunity to go to the interview. Maybe a few more may be tested. But if you at least get the test that you should complete, do it, because that's what it requires. And at the moment, I noticed that there is so much offering in the art side that sometimes I would like to say to some art students that maybe you should think of something else, because only the most talented will qualify. But on the other hand, in the 3D side especially, there are coming up these like VR, AR companies and their job openings. So that could be something that you could look at. Then sound design composing. Yeah, there is lots of audio people around. Many of them actually do get most of their income from projects. So there are not that many in-house roles there. And many of these sound designers and composers, they have international customers, so many of them do make their money elsewhere than in Finland. User support, that type of roles, there are always good number of candidates and all sorts of managers. So very often there are all these tech managers and project leaders who say that, okay, I've been leading a project. No, why not? I can probably produce a game. I always ask that, have you ever done anything visual? Like, have you ever produced anything that has a visual result? If they say no, I was like, okay, well, hello. That's like a possibility to match you against the games jobs. Producer job is practically zero, but miracles happen. Less candidate than jobs, animators, any kind of data analysts. If you have time and interest to stick to numbers and play with them, do it, because that's very valuable asset in the gaming industry. Good marketers, always wanted. UA, community, anything like that. So like that, somebody who can bring down the money from the internet. And then of course, programmers and NetOps people. The easiest way practically to get to the games industry. Unity C# developer is the most wanted resource at the moment. Somebody is smiling there like, hey, you're on the right track. But then that of course like requires that you have also like some projects done. UI artist and UI programmer. There is always a box in every organization for those. They are wanted. And then the ones we kind of like when we need a one, it's really hard to find someone who is dedicated and interested in UI. and good producers. Always there is an opportunity for a good games producer. Okay, and then we asked a little bit what the candidates and employers are like expecting from each other, and we found out that the top 3 on the candidate list, I think maybe you. So people wanted to find like a meaningful job, then good work community, and location was surprisingly high up in the values. So if there is a short commute or even walking distance to the office, so that was very much appreciated. It was kind of funny. And then but on the other hand, what do the employers think? Of course, the employers, they want to tell about their projects, and they want that people are interested in them and in their productions and in their projects. That's what they are opening up. And that's also very good to keep in mind, because it doesn't pay back to send your portfolio to all these zillion games companies. It's good strategy to look through what kind of style they have, what kind of things they have, things they do, and if you would be happy to do that, and then target certain companies. Of course, if you have a very niche style, for example, you want to do some niche area, so then it may become tricky. So then there may be only like two to three options, maybe in the world even, but you have to also think a little bit commercially, so that at least that there would be maybe 10 or 15 potential employers where you could work in the future. So maybe you have your niche interest, but then also look at those that could be kind of like interesting. And companies, they surprise. Usually there are very good, like interesting projects. Then what the companies want to offer, of course, like opportunities to work from home. There are quite a good like perks already nowadays in the gaming industry. And then also, likewise, they want to offer and support the meaningfulness of the job, so that it's good and interesting to go to work every day. And I was trying to like figure out like how much is it matching, and I put some hearts and stars there, so it looks a little bit that on the candidate side, there is a little bit of this more kind of idealism, or how should it be? But of course, if you do not know, so it's good to have some idealism and get to like a good job with good career opportunities and a nice community. And then a big bonus is if the location is convenient. And then on the employer side, it goes a little bit more like practical, so they think about the environment, where to work, how to work, and then also what they can offer, because they really need the people to do what they are supposed to do. They want to deliver, they want to bring the money in and succeed, and of course everybody gets paid at the end of the day. All right, and then how should you prepare for your first meetings when you present yourself to the games company? So at this point, as a student, I know that you are doing a lot of like projects and workshops and such, so that you would eventually have something to show to the games company. Portfolio, that's number one. That's where you can shine. I've seen like freshmen straight from school, basically like washing the table of all those seniors when they did clever thinking, when they did very nice presentation. Then they looked at the style of the company, and just like with a simple few pictures of the actual their main character, and they pushed them through all these so-called senior candidates and got the job, practically straight from school. So that is one thing. But then it's good that you have done things. You have been participating to game jams. You know a little bit of like industry people. You come to these type of places, and then you have all these things listed somehow in your CV. If you have been doing work, if you have been working before, make sure that everything that is there is correct, and then you are able to explain what has been happening here and there. If there has been some, for example, bigger breaks, okay, I was doing traveling at that time, or that type of things, because the industry is very small. People talk to each other also. So try to you need to be able to explain what you've done. And then also the portfolio. When I started in 2004 as a games HR and recruiting, like people were kind of like clueless that what does portfolio mean. It took like nearly a decade to kind of like asking for the portfolios, and now GitHubs and others, anything to show, and now it is in order. If it's not, basically I think that companies do not even check your application, or unless you are like seeking for an accountant job. All right, but when you get there, and of course you have some idea why you have applied to the company. So your time and the employers' and recruiters' time is valuable. Look through what is it there, study a little bit the company, if there's anything like articles, news, this or that, go and have a look, at least a quick look. It makes a good impression if you can kind of like, if you show that, okay, I've been interested enough in this company to find some information. Then when you walk in, think like, how would it be like to work here? Look and feel, because they are checking the same things of you. Are you like walking in there like a sloppy jelly, or are you there like, yes, I want to do this thing? That type of small things also matter. And then try to relax, be present, listen, and don't bubble, just like try to stick to the issue. Of course, you may be a little bit nervous. It's of course like experienced recruiters, they understand that, but try to stick to the issue, tell the truth, and also remember to sell yourself a bit. So that you just like say, because very often the usual questions are like, why should you get this job? And why would this be so interesting? Why is this job so interesting to you? So you need to have answers to this. It's like, I just want to get the job is not good enough. It may work if you have exceptionally good portfolio, for example, you have talent, but it's good to have some thinking behind why you should be hired. And then, is there anything else that you can do? Like what the companies are looking at, they want to find the passion. And then it's good that you have some training. You have been practicing, you've been doing games as a hobby. And then there are a lot of these Facebook groups and such that you can join and then look for feedback. For example, Finkonauts. Or then you may have some people in your groups that can help you, that can guide you a bit, especially like in game design is quite hard to break in, so it would be good to find a mentor. Now, I know that Juha is a mentor here, so he's good guide in that sense. Then of course portfolio, and even if you get a job, keep on learning, because that keeps you learning, keeps you interested, alerted, motivated, and in the business. And then play games, the more than the merrier. And then remember, games industry is not necessarily like walking on roses all the time. It's like it has been the most rewarding time that I've ever been, like in a job. So, but there you have to be able to work under pressure and cope with uncertainty. Average like time for a startup to live is like approximately 2 years, 2.5, 3. If you are in the same company for 3 years, it's a big score. So, because companies come and go. But luckily, until now, there is still like money coming into the Finnish games industry. So usually, always new opportunities come up. And your career advancement, it doesn't come from the calendar. It doesn't matter how many years you sit there. It comes through your deeds in the projects. If you have delivered something, first question they ask usually in the interviews: have you been in a team that has published something? Do you have something under your belt that you can show that has been published somewhere? So they are good, and if there has been good numbers to show, so that even better. And relationships. We just had like ladies event, games ladies and hackers another night and another evening, and it's very vital that you go to places, you talk to people, you find people, you help others, you support your friends, even if you know that I would love to have the job, but this other guy is actually even better. So, because it's good to like push up also your mates, because then they probably do the same to you. But it's also like relationships are also important here in this business. Be nice to people, be cooperative, and so forth. And then there is this my old like writing about how to get the job in the games industry. You can find it there on the Games Jobs website. I basically push down there everything I knew about how to get a job when I was working at the Digital Chocolate. And then if you want to start looking through what is it there, what the companies require, there are a lot of new exciting jobs coming out practically every day. So go to Games Jobs, check through the job descriptions and learn from that, and prepare also against those qualifications. If you are not yet there, don't worry. For example, in AI, VR, AR, there are coming these jobs, and then there is flexibility still. So that even if you are not like perfect match, also the employers know that something like even a 70% match or 60% match may be enough. So that's about it. And if you have some questions, so please shoot. There is a hand there.
Is this on? Hello. Oh, there
Hello.
we go. Moi, kiitos. So for the portfolio stuff, if you're an artist, the portfolios are quite easy, well not easy, but visually impressive more often. But if you're like a programmer, do you have any tips as to like what you can do to your portfolio to kind of like make it a bit more appealing? Because no one wants to read walls of code and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's true. But I think like for a programmer, if you have been doing some games, so like you have something, like I remember that we were, for example, checking through web links of the games, or like even done something on emulators and so forth. So no matter if you have done mobile or like any game, so you include the links to the games that you've been doing, even as a hobby. Of course, like GitHub is a nice, like for example, GitHub, if you have some code there. So like maybe like a selection of code and maybe a couple of links of your projects. And it doesn't matter, they can be even quite modest ones. So, but experienced games like R&D directors or like recruiters, they look at the quality of the code also. And so I think they will, I think maybe if you can make a mix of both of those, so it could be good. And if you have some other skills, like you've been doing bits of design or like maybe even art, so you can include that. But if the art is shitty, so it's a very often like it doesn't turn the recruiter on usually. But at least you have tried. Very often we just ask like that, okay, which part of this have you done? Or if you have been a part of the team, usual question is that which part of this programming did you do? Was it back end, front end, or what? Okay.
Kiitos.
There is someone in the back.
This on? Okay. Let's. I have projects that I've been working on that are not effectively publicly available. They are. They have been placed in a way that you need to get access to them separately.
Yeah.
And I'm not capable of showing any code because either I do not own it or people are not comfortable showing it. How can I market that on my interview?
So like you do not have any code to show?
I have a code that I've done.
Yeah.
I have knowledge, but due to the nature of the project, I cannot place it in GitHub. I cannot place it anywhere publicly available.
Okay,
I cannot show it.
So it's under NDA.
Yes, effectively.
Yes. Okay, but basically what you could do that you can kind of like make a short description to your like CV that okay, I've done something around here and I can show you. Usually you are able to show at least something there. People, recruiters, they will keep their mouth shut. So if you end up to a meeting, so. There is another one, and the other one.
Hi, thanks for the presentation and sharing your insight with us. I noticed when you were talking about the availability of roles versus how many applicants there were no user research or user experience or writing or any of these roles. Are they so rare in Finland that they're not worth mentioning yet, or? Yeah,
writers are quite rare. Writers are usually, I think we matched one writer to a console games company recently, and they are employed, writers are employed against a specific project, and they may go around the world from project to another. So it's actually, sometimes it may be tricky, very difficult to get a continuation in the same country even. So unless you are living in America where there are more options than in Finland. So that market is very small. And then user research, yeah, like a researcher, there must be some roles in bigger companies that are doing research, but smaller startups usually do not have that luxury to employ researchers solely. Yeah. It probably comes along with some other role.
I know for a fact that Remedy is looking for a user researcher, so.
Okay, yeah. Anyway. So that's a typical bigger company,
yeah.
And go for it.
Yeah, thanks.
So a few minutes ago, you talked about what candidates are more needed, and you mentioned animators. So what kind of animators are we talking about?
No, in the early times there were like a lot of like 2D animators, but yeah, anyone, like animators in general, if you have, because it requires a bit longer, like rehearsal, so to say. So any animator, if the level of doing is great. I'm not an art person as such, but what I've noticed that animators are usually when we go through like the artist candidate lists. So they say that okay, pinpoint anyone who has like any who seems to have anything developed animation there.
Okay, but I still have a little more. Like you mentioned that 2D and 3D artists are plentiful. So what's the difference between animators and them? Or is it like you like people that only make like backgrounds or not moving models or something? Yeah,
no, let's say that there are a lot of like 2D and 3D, like there is a lot of people that would actually want to get there, but then I think that some sort of specialization usually brings you the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In the presentation, when you talked about the roles, you didn't like mention any UAs or game testers or anything like that. Are those like real roles in Finland as well?
UAs are like usually wanted, but game testers, that's a very regular, that's a very like one of the kind of like starting jobs in the industry. So there is always like every company has an army of testers. So, and that is very often one of the starter jobs in the industry. I didn't mention them because they just come up. There is a good resource of testers. So I think my time is done, but you can come to talk to me a little bit later also. So thank you for your questions, and you can always reach me at Games Jobs Finland, or you may see me at IGDA. So come to my network. Thank you.